Greetings, everyone. Let me welcome you all to another episode of the Never an Afterthought show. It's my pleasure to have you join us again on this episode because this is the platform where we discuss life issues. This is a platform where we discuss issues that pertain to us as individuals, pertain to us as a people, issues that pertain to us as a nation. Basically, this is a platform where we discuss topical issues that I believe, would add to the conversation of nation building. Today we'll be discussing the topic that I've titled, It Worked for Me. It worked for me. Basically, what am I saying? I'm here today to share with us principles that have worked for me in life, principles that have worked for me in leadership, principles that have worked for me in the private sector, and principles that have worked for me in the public sector. And these are principles I also believe that they work for me because they are universal principles. I believe they would also work for you as well. Let's understand that principles are universal. And it's often said, if you do what the other successful man did, you also would get the result that the successful man got. And so what I'm doing with the Never an Afterthought platform is basically to share my own life journey. As you know from the book that I published sometime in June 2020 on the Never an Afterthought book. In that book, I traversed my life journey from my time of schooling to my time of working to the decisions I've had to make and my pragmatism in the private sector and how I also brought that to bear in the public sector. And so what I'm saying is these principles I'm about to share with us today will work for you anywhere. It will work for you as a person, as it did work for me as a person. It will work for you if you're leading yourself. It will work for you if you're leading yourself and another. It will work for you if you're leading a multinational. It will work for you if you're leading a small company, a big company. If you're in the private sector, if you're in the public sector, if you're an NGO, these principles will work for you. And what are these principles? They are principles that I've titled PIER. PIER are my guiding principles that I developed over the years, and it's worthy to know that I developed it even when I was just still leading myself and perhaps just had one or two other colleagues with me in growing my business, which I discussed a lot in the book Never an Afterthought. However, the first point to note about PIER, just before we go into the different principles that I've titled in PIER, is that PIER in itself, the dictionary defines PIER as that solid structure that connects land to water and provides access for boats, for ships, and typically you will see PIER, you may not know that's PIER, but those platforms that you see, those solid, strong, rugged platforms that you see at dockyards, at jetties, at wharfs, anything that has to do with a ship or a boat, that's really what PIER is. And I looked at, when I started looking at, in coming up with that principle, that life principle or guiding principle, I started looking at the characteristics of what must make a PIER, because for me to climb on that platform, I must be assured that that platform can carry my weight, it's strong, it's durable, it's rugged. And that in many ways describes who I am as a person. Those are many ways corollaries that can define me as Afolabi Imoukhuede, or as you like to call me, as AI. And so that's the first thing about PIER for those of you listening or watching us. And that's the first thing about PIER. But I then went further to then define the four principles for each of the letter in the acronym to define the principles. P being passion, and that's what you were about to talk about. But before we go on, I is also integrity, E is empathy, and R is reliability and resilience. These are principles I've titled PIER, but I will not be discussing this alone. It's my pleasure to also welcome my brother, my friend, I call him the PR extraordinaire, Benji Okoh, or the man popularly known as an OAP Benji.
Sometimes when I get introduced, I'll be looking under the table. Are you sure they're introducing me?
Who are they talking about?
As a broadcaster, we talk about other people. We rarely have people talk about us, So, but then it's a pleasure to be here. I was listening to you talk, and I do know from your understanding and what you already have in the book, what PIER actually is, where PIER is used and all of that. And I'm wondering, the first one, like you said, is passion. Now, in the words of Benjamin Franklin, who you know is on the $100 bill. I love dollars,
I'm an American.
He says that if passion drives you, make sure that reasoning takes the reign. Now, he has introduced something new to passion. It's reasoning. What is reasoning? Reasoning is simply the ability to think, understand, and make logical judgments. Now, I'm bringing this up as we discuss passion because I have a business. I have passion for it. Well, I'm making good money, but I'm still struggling. And then I've been doing this for years. Now, I look at my neighbor or my friend or whoever, the next business, and he's doing well, and somebody says, why not switch? And then I decide to switch because I need money. Now, is that logical? Is that passion based on logical thinking?
Thank you. Thanks, Benji. And you took the word out of me. And I know some of you who may not have read the book. I mean, Benji has read the book, he's dissected the book. You don't want to have a copy of his book. Okay, I don't even think he can ever give it to anyone. It's become his own copy. But to come to your question around passion and reasoning. Clearly, Benjamin Franklin must know something for him to be on America's $100 bill. That's their highest denomination. And he's so right about the fact that there is a balance between passion and reasoning. I can tell you as an entrepreneur myself that most times passion is so key because passion is life. In fact, the life you and I live is a product of passion. Maybe another topic we'll discuss that. It's a product of passion, but passion itself is life and life itself is passion. So you find therefore that just like any baby is born, most times before you can produce any idea, any innovation, any creativity, before any of such can bet anything great, it would take passion for it to happen. And when it happens, most times at that point in time, it's not what is going to feed you. It's not able to feed you many times. And that's where reasoning comes. So because in the world of economy and commerce, you must feed, right? So you find therefore that sometimes we need to be able to do something else. Maybe a daytime job, 9-to-5 job, whilst we are working on our passion or working on our idea. And even when you bet your idea, growing and grooming your idea to the point when that idea is not able to carry you. It's just like the same story of a baby. But the other point about what you raised, so I will not criticize someone who is working on an idea, but is also doing 1, 2, or 3 other things to stay on. But I will not, but some way, somehow, though, in our environment, you find that some people may jump from here. And that I would want to say is a lack of passion. Because what passion does, passion gives you that staying power. Passion gives you that consistency. So sometimes when you now jump, for example, today you're selling cashew nut, and tomorrow you hear your neighbor said, I started, Bolly business and is making money. And you jump from cashew nut, you go into roasting plantain, which is a typical colloquial word, Bolly, right? And then the next tomorrow you hear your colleague saying, his diesel I'm selling now and I'm making money. Then you leave that too and move to diesel. What such people lack is passion. That staying power. So that's very different from someone who is building his or her business, but is also doing other things to stay alive. Because remember, a lot of successful people have also told us how you determine success, particularly of an entrepreneur, is what he or she does with his or her spare time.
Exactly, on a constant.
Yeah.
Now let me take passion to another level.
Yeah.
Look at the digital space, social media. Yes, apart from it being a marketing tool, we are starting to see that social media can also be used for societal change. Now, look at it as a marketing tool. We're battling with COVID-19. Before now, we used to know that, yes, companies, brands, and what have you, products, they use traditional media, terrestrial and all of that. But with this COVID, everyone is at home. Companies have been forced to put their brands, their products on the digital space. Now, that's what social media has done as a marketing tool.
Yes.
Now, looking at social media again as something that can be used to tweak society, NSAS. We're looking at NSAS. I'm bringing in passion here.
Yeah.
Now, today, who would have thought that the youth would get up and tell government that this is what we want, this is how we want it, and this is, but it's happening. Isn't that passion at play?
Well, clearly, what we're seeing with the NSAS movement, and because this conversation we're having is not just a conversation in the air, it's a conversation that I'm sharing my own life story, and and we are together sharing our stories. But we must also relate with our local environment, and what we see in our local environment, as we see in Nigeria today with the Nigerian youth movement, with the NSAS movement. Clearly, the sustainability of that movement is passion in display. Passion is the ability to run a long course. Passion is the ability to stay on the matter, to stay focused on the matter. And I think never have we seen it like this in this country. I mean, our mothers, our fathers, our uncles, our elders they've protested before. We've had protests in the history of Nigeria since 1929 with the Aba riot, Aba women riots, or what they call riots, but we know it's protest. So the reality is that, but this steady course of a peaceful protest, staying on course, is actually born out of passion, because these youths, we the people, are all passionately desirous of a new Nigeria, a new movement, a new Nigeria.
But then what I find interesting, for those of us who believe in what we call information superiority, is that the major minors, I might just segue into the next on your principles. The major minors that social media has is that of integrity.
Okay.
Now, we call it information superiority in that it's believed that in the social media space, there are no trained journalists, if I can use that. Oftentimes, you consume something from social media, you need the terrestrial to confirm it. Well,
so again, that's one thing we must understand about change and evolution. The old guard, and I think we are also becoming an endangered species because we're coming into that whole guard. I mean, the average age of our sons, our daughters, our younger ones that are on the protest ground is 21. And we are perhaps those of the age that are of the offline, we're not on ground, we're online, supporting them. Now, what you found, the old guard have a system that they've been used to for so many years, and that's what you always want to call the traditionalist system, so the PIER, the public relations, the terrestrial space, and what have you. But these young talks have defined a whole new space, and that new space is what we now know as the social media. So yes, I do understand, because we're coming out to discuss integrity, which is and I do understand the fact that most times people in the terrestrial space, they because there's a lot of investment they put in, which tends to bring about that superiority of credibility. The superiority edge that terrestrial has over social media is the fact that, we have credibility in the sense that we have investment, we have a physical address, we have a board of trustees, we have people you can hold our credibility and all of that. That's what we tend. That's what the profession, tends to have over the fact that online media. But then again, let's remember that integrity is a character trait. That really, for me, regardless of where you are, regardless of what space you are, integrity is integrity. Integrity is that trait that leads to honesty. So right now, even in the social media space, this same superiority advantage of the terrestrial old guard traditional space, they are also bringing into that space. If you look at Jack of Twitter, what are they started to do? They are now, before they verify your handle, they ask for a whole lot of credibility. They look at your TL, your thread line, they look at all the things. I hope you have not sponsored terrorism, you have not sponsored, kidnapping or any of these wrong vices. They look at your profile. And I'm sure they also double check your profile even offline.
Offline,
So before they give you that tick of what is called verified handles. So that again, what you're doing is you're bringing integrity into that space. That's really what that is.
I'm thinking, and there's something you said, and I want to take you seriously on it.
Yes.
You said something like, in fact, not like, you said integrity. No matter where you are, integrity is integrity.
Yes.
Now, please explain to me. A police officer in Nigeria does poorly, but goes out and does superbly well.
Yes.
The average Nigerian here will not queue. You go to London, they don't born you well, make you cross road. And yet you say integrity is integrity wherever you are. Can you explain that?
Yes, because integrity is integrity. And like I often say, I'll say three things about integrity. One, integrity is really not integrity when you are being watched, when you're in the public. It is good, but that's not really integrity. Integrity is integrity when no one is watching you. Consistency with your honesty and your principles. That's integrity. Integrity is integrity whether in Nigeria, whether in UK, whether in US, wherever you are, integrity is integrity. Also, thirdly, integrity, what is integrity if integrity is not tested? Now, so that's what you then come, now the facts you've raised are environmental issues. Because first we must understand that whether you're Caucasian, African, black, white, whatever it is, we're all human beings. The common denominator, the color of our blood is red, regardless of the color of your skin. And that's what Martin Luther King said. I don't want to be judged, and I hope our children, I want to live in a world where our children will no longer be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That character that we're talking about now is integrity. So regardless of where you are, integrity is integrity. Now, but what has happened is the fact that in our environment, we have allowed impunity to go on for so long, to the point that, using an example of a police officer will tell you, I go shoot you now, waiting go happen, nothing go happen, you go just die. So that's impunity. So because anything that is common to any one of us as humans in America is common to us as humans in Nigeria.
Exactly.
But what is the difference? In these developed worlds I would like to reference, they know, they understand the consequence of an inaction or an action. So they understand that if I run the red light, even if there's no cop there, there's electronic tickets that will be traced to my plate number and to my address. And where I fail to pay for that consequence, guess what? It will go as a point of discipline on your license. And as every point you get on your license, it impacts on your insurance.
Yes.
So the question is, every average human, nobody wants to pay more for what he can pay less for.
So in other words, what you're saying is, we can conclude that you need rules and enforcement to hold integrity.
Yes. So you find therefore that the issue is not even the rules, because we do have rules. I mean, the Bible says where there's no law, there's no sin. We do have laws, so there are rules, right? But enforcement is what has been lacking. Because the people or those who are tasked to enforce, like a police officer, he's saying to you, I will do the opposite and nothing would happen. So yes, integrity is very important as another ingredient of the character trait that we're discussing. guys. If you're just joining us, let me welcome you to the Never an Afterthought show. Today we've been discussing the topic, It Worked For Me. Principles that work for me in life, principles that work for me in leadership, in private sector and public sector. And these principles are what I've titled PIER. These principles have been discussed extensively in my book, the Never an Afterthought book. And earlier on the show, we've discussed two of the principles, which is passion, P, and I, integrity. So right now you've joined us as we discuss the other two, which are empathy, E for empathy, and R, which I've titled double R, it's reliability and resilience. So empathy. In my view, empathy is one of the most powerful character trait or tool, but many times underrated. Empathy in many ways is, you may want to use similar synonyms like compassion, but empathy is so powerful. Empathy, in my view, is also the connector. That's what actually connects the people, with the subject matter that you're on. It's what connects your beneficiaries, or what connects, if you're the leader, what connects you and your followers. If you are the leader, it's what connects you and the led. If you are also the follower, it's what connects you and your leader. Because, many times we think it's only the leader that should have empathy. No, it should be both ways. Because one, we know that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. So you as a follower as well must empathize with your leaders. And that's so important in the nation Nigeria and many other nations of the world, because every nation is battling with one thing or the other, particularly with this younger generation that will not take no for an answer. So empathy is so important. And I think in the right handling of this NSAS movement, this, the current protest by young people demanding for an end to police brutality, demanding an end to impunity in policing, demanding better governance, better response from our leaders. Empathy will do the trick.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you, but I'm just thinking and looking. Now, we're discussing empathy. Empathy, number one for me, is emotional.
Yeah.
Yes, it is just like you rightly said, compassionate value that we bring to bear in some of the decisions that we take. Now, is it also right to say that, maybe I'll take you back to what we were told by our parents?
Yeah.
Be your brother's keeper.
Yes.
Haven't we lost it?
But that is empathy.
That's empathy.
But that's, but we must wake up. No, but we must wake up to it. You see, what I always do when I want to check if there's any ill in society that is springing up, the first thing I do is to take a look back into history. And just look at what happened and how did it happen, or how did it, And so one of the biggest problems society is facing is that we have lost the concept of it takes a village. That's what you're talking about be your brother's keeper. Individualism, the world of individualism. And unfortunately, even the social media or digital also promotes a lot of individualism. But thankful now for social media, it's now bringing back. So whilst you could be your own man in your room with that gadget doing your work, social media is now connecting, bringing back that whole concept of it takes a village. And I think really, if every one of us would just pause for a minute and ask, how do you want to be treated? Which is what be your brother's keeper. Exactly. Do unto others what you want them to do unto you. We will get much better results. We will get much better results.
Now, let me take you up on another thing.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing this in. It's deliberate. Corporate governance.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Yes.
We're looking at transparency.
Yes.
This is empathy in itself.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about corporate governance, we are in a society where emotions, they're all lost.
Yeah.
Now, the government is not ready to take care of anything. The followers are not ready to wait for anything. Everybody's on his own.
Well, no. So corporate governance.
I'm looking at that deliberately because sometimes I wonder if truly you are a Nigerian. I mean, one of the things that drove Empower is that empathy that you had. Yes, accountability. Yeah, you were given this sum of money, but then you performed.
But you know, Benji, really,
Can
the
we
truth
translate
is
that to
no. So the truth is
level?
this. The truth is this. Empathy in itself. That's why I said once you imbibe the principles of empathy, you will get much better results. One of such is accountability. Corporate governance was created, is a philosophy that is created to be able to assure everybody, to be responsible for everybody. Which brings me to the last point, which is about responsibility and reliability. Brings me to that last point, because the whole point, of whether it's passion, whether it's integrity, whether it's empathy, and responsibility, it's really all about results. Results driven. We are moving away, we need to move away from a society that is so moved about activities, unending activities, but not really about results. So when you focus on results, you realize, that you need all of these principles we've discussed. We need all of these character traits. And you see, when you talk about, when for R, I struggled, for a long time was reliability, but I soon learned that for you to be reliable, you must be resilient. And that's what we're seeing even with our youth today. When they say we will not take no for an answer, end SARS movement. That's what we're seeing. It's about resilience. It's about reliability. And that's the Rolls Royce, right? RR, right? That's your logo. Rolls Royce, RR, reliability and resilience. So in all, FEM will not allow us. I mean, this is so, Benji, this is such an interesting conversation. And this is the reason why these platforms exist. I know you're a busy OAP, and I hope that you would oblige us when we call on you again next time. You can see that our chat lines, all our handles are buzzing. Everyone wants to make a comment. It tells you that this conversation is touching and is reaching the hearts of our people. And we must continue this conversation. So I want to say thank you so much, Benji. And I hope you oblige us again when we invite you.
Whenever. I'm here for you.
Thank you, Benji.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. My people, thank you very much for this, for your time. It's been an engaging time. I know that we were not able to take a lot of your questions. We were not able to address a lot of your comments. But until this next time when I would join up with you, we will definitely handle some of your questions and comments. But guess what? This conversation does not end now. It continues. And just make sure that in continuing this conversation, you use the hashtag never an afterthought, and you can continue. I look forward to us continuing this conversation across all our social media channels, on Facebook, which is never an afterthought, on Instagram, which is at NAA Afterthought, and on Twitter, which is at NAA_book. You can also drop your comments on this channel, wherein you're watching me or listening to me, or you can basically send me an email at podcast@neveranafterthought.com. Until next time when I come your way again, this is Afolabi Imoukhuede wishing you God bless and keep winning. Thank you. Education is the bedrock of society.
We have lived in the future for a long time, but we haven't actually realized it. So we'll talk about 21st century learning and 21st century skills, but remember that the 21st century actually started 20 years ago.
But when we really talk about this reform education, what does this reform education really mean?
Learning is not just about your cognitive development. It's also about your physical development. By the year 2050, only 10% of American universities will still exist in the form that they exist today.
If you really want to be relevant in the fourth industrial revolution, it's not just theory right now, it's upon us. Please join me on YouTube every Thursday at 6 p.m. West African time for another exciting and engaging episode of the Never an Afterthought Show. Season's greetings, guys. Compliments of the season. I hope and I trust that we're keeping safe and well even in this season. Wow, the year 2020 2020. Life tells us, or science tells us, that 2020 is hindsight. 2020 is perfect sight. 2020 has been a full year. I remember the excitement this time last year, 2019, the excitement of a new decade and all that it holds for us. Our goals, our plans, the hashtag 10-year challenge, etc. I still have mine written down in my diary. Entering 2020, before we could say Jack, COVID-19 hit, global shutdown since the month of March, new words entered into our lexicon, new words like social distancing, pandemic, wear a mask, of course, death of loved ones. That's very personal to me because it was in this year, 2020, that my darling Sissy, my mom, went home to be with the Lord. And so many of us as well have lost one loved one or some loved ones or the other. Let me take a moment, to pray that God continue to comfort each and every one of us. And that indeed, for every home this season that is looking into their homes and there is a space on the dining table, it is my prayer that God will comfort us and may their souls continue to rest in peace. Amen. In this year as well, as a result of the pandemic, we've had loss of jobs, loss of income. We have now fears and chaos around second waves, so many. It's really been a tough year. But in the midst of it all, there has been good news. There's been good news of life. That you and I are listening to one another today is simply because we have life. There's been good news of healings. A lot of our loved ones fallen sick, picked up. They were hit with the COVID infection. They got healed. Thank God. Good news of births, promotions, new gigs. Well, I can talk about new gig. I published the Never an Afterthought memoir this year, 2020. It's also in this year, 2020, that we started this show. So, life truly is a summary of bittersweet. Therefore, as we count down to roll off 2020, I know we are all eager to get it behind us and really begin to welcome 2021. Let me admonish us with a few thoughts of mine. One is that we should draw strength from the challenges of 2020 to find purpose for 2021. Two, let's remember, after 10-year challenge, decade goals, it's 10 years. So 2020 is just 1 year down. We still have 9 more years to go. And that's the reason why, in thanking God for life, we should also brace up. Let's pivot and refocus where we have to. Let's develop new skills where you have to, and indeed strengthen the skills that you have. And finally, take your development, including your health and your well-being, personal. I want to repeat that. Take your development, including your health and well-being, personal. And indeed, take it serious. On this note, let me use this medium to wish you a Merry Christmas and indeed a truly glorious, prosperous, and rewarding 2021. Let's remember, however, that Jesus is the reason for the season. This same Jesus is the anchor for our soul, particularly in these turbulent times. That's been my testimony for 2020. Please don't lose guard. Maintain social distance. Wear your mask. Wash your hands or sanitize as often as you can. But above all, be sure to have a never an afterthought Christmas, be sure to have a never an afterthought, fun and relaxing holiday with friends and with family. Even if you have to do it by Zoom, please do, because I know we have to maintain social distancing. God bless you, and when I see you again in 2021, I'm sure you will tell me that you won in 2020 and you keep winning in 2021. God bless you. How humans can indeed win the robots in the fourth industrial revolution. There are certain things that humans possess that makes us gain an edge over the robot.
Now we're beginning to realize that these skills aren't that soft, especially when the hard skills are being taken over by technology. So those things that you were proud of that you could do, they were your core hard skills. Well, there's a computer somewhere doing it.
The question therefore remains, are we developing these skills that can be automated, that are required now and in the approaching fourth industrial revolution? Please join me on YouTube every Thursday at 6 p.m. West African time for another exciting and engaging episode of the Never an Afterthought Show.